So, Coach, how do you feel being back in the U.S.? Obviously, the pandemic is quite going crazy here, right? In the UAE, as you mentioned, it seems they have everything under control. So, is it a little bit stressful being stateside, given the state of the pandemic?
No, it's not stressful at all. It's just, it's sad, that, we're still in this, and so many people are, losing their jobs, losing their lives, and, everything that they worked so hard their whole life, it's just been taken away from them. So, no, it's just we have to deal with it. So, reality is that if we don't deal with it, it takes care of us.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, rough times for everybody. Let's just hope that this vaccine gets administered soon, to everybody, and hopefully we can move forward. And in 2021, hopefully better than 2020, but I guess time will tell. So, Coach, a lot to talk about. Obviously, you're the coach to the stars. Obviously, a lot going on in your camp. So let's get right into it. Khabib, obviously, he seems to be the biggest talk right now in the sport, although he's retired. But before we talk about him and other fighters that you have under your wing as well, how is Khabib doing? We know he had a really rough 2020. As you mentioned, a lot of people are going through some difficulties. You spent several months with him. How is he doing emotionally, and how is he doing after, the passing of his father in 2020?
He's doing good. He's doing really good. He's doing everything he needs to do. He's taking care of his family. The people that are close to him. He's creating jobs for everybody that's close and dear to him, like family. And he's out there doing all the good work that his father set out to do, and he's actually doing the same thing. The only difference is that he's not entering politics, but he's doing the same task of taking care of people like his father always has.
Yeah, for sure. And last time I spoke to you was before his fight with Justin Gaethje. Obviously, UFC 256 goes down. He wins in a great fashion, retires then, and shocks everybody. Shocked you because you were also surprised that he was sort of gonna hang up the gloves at that moment. But when he did you sort of understand, given everything that he's gone through?
Of course, I understood right from the get go. And it was a very emotional situation for him, and did he plan on doing it? I don't know. I didn't know anything about it. Was it legit? Yeah, of course it was legit. He promised his mother, and if you promise your mother that they don't go back on their promise unless they get mother's approval to do something, that he's not going to go back on his word to his mom. So no, I'm not surprised. And did he handle it well? Yeah, yeah, as well as he could be.
Yeah. And you've always been very honest as far as your fighter's assessment. I remember the last time we spoke, or maybe a few times before that, we talked about Daniel Cormier. Obviously, he was coming off that defeat against Stipe Miocic in the trilogy, and you were very honest. You're like, look, he's one of the best to ever do it. He had a great run, but I think he should retire, and I wouldn't want him to continue fighting. And you basically gave a very honest assessment of where he was at. But now speaking to Khabib, I mean, he was coming off such a big win against Gaethje. It just seems like he's still very much into his prime, like right in the middle of it. If anything, I mean, he's obviously not too old. He's still very young in the sport. Just from a skill set and just from an MMA standpoint, Khabib has a lot left in the tank, right?
Oh yeah, he hasn't even begun to, he was just starting to get into a groove where he's starting to feel a little bit comfortable kicking. He's still not fluent with the kicking, but he was effective, as you saw with the Justin fight. So no, he had so much more to go, as far as the stand up, the ground. Well, I mean, I don't know. I've never seen anybody better than him on the ground. He's the best there ever been on the ground, in MMA. But in regards to his improvement scale, yeah, he has a lot more growth, and he's still young enough, like you said, 32. So yeah, no, he still has a lot of years left. Good for if he wanted, but unfortunately, that's not going to be in the cards.
Yeah, for sure. And from you being around him and just being around other fighters as well, you know how like fighters feel. Usually, a lot of them retire and come back, right? With Khabib, it feels different, right? He made the promise to his mom, and we know how serious that is to him and his family. But do you feel like he's happy? I know he made that promise to his mom, and that's what's most important here. But do you feel like he's at peace with it, what he's achieved, and sort of like what he's done in MMA? Do you feel like he's okay being retired from a
We
competitive
never,
standpoint?
yeah, we never discussed it, and I've never even discussed why he retired. I've never discussed any of that, and so I really can't speak on the behalf that he feels comfortable with it because I really haven't talked to him. I can tell you he's extremely busy. He's doing so many good things, creating like his Eagle Fighting Championships, and all these other projects that he's got going on. He's doing a lot of goodwill, a lot of charity work. He's doing a lot of good things for everybody. So I don't really know, if it's all good. I don't really know because I never discussed it with him, and to be honest with you, I'm not going to. I'm just gonna be there for him regardless of what decision he makes. It's like I always tell him: whenever you look to your right, your coach is gonna be right there. So, whatever decision he makes, I'm gonna be there. Whether he wants to come back or he never wants to come back, I'm there.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously, you're not his spoke person or anything, but in your gut feeling, do you think there's maybe a slight chance that Khabib comes back? I mean, everybody wants to see him back, as you said. He still has a lot left to give in the sport. He left on top, which is pretty crazy. Not many fighters get to do that, right? But deep down inside, do you think there's maybe a slight chance that maybe his mom is okay with him continuing fighting and that we see him back in the cage?
I mean, anything's possible. I mean, but it has to be for the right fight. And yesterday I did an interview, and they indicated while I was doing an interview that it was announced that GSP and him were coming. I go, what? Okay, I guess. Yeah, all right. Well, I'll still say that if that one ever does get put on the table, then there's a good possibility he would talk to his mom, and his mom would give him the approval. But until then, I don't. From what I know, that was not even on the table. Even though I guess Kenny Florian and them guys, John Anik, said that they were working on it, and that's all I know. But I haven't heard anything else other than they said that.
Yeah. And yeah, we haven't reported anything over at MMA Junkie. I don't know exactly what's going on with that announcement, but as far as today, right now, doing this interview, I don't think there's anything official on that end. But just to be clear here, because a lot of people have gone out and say, and I see fans doing this. Well, just tell Dana to give him more money. Money's not an issue, right? For Habib,
No,
if he's going to return, it's going to be about legacy,
no,
right?
it's legacy, and it's a father's plan legacy. It's nothing other than that, and no, it's not about money. And yeah, no, he has
Yeah,
enough money. He doesn't ever have to worry about supporting his family. He's fine. What he's doing is working. He's a smart businessman, also very very smart, and he's very calculated in what he does. He does all the right things, and I mean, let's face it. When you're a big celebrity like he is now, anything you do business wise is going to be a success as long as you put the right people in place, and he's been able to do that.
yeah, for sure. And you know this game very well. You've been around for some time, and you know the fight game extremely well. As far as legacy, is a win? Is there a win over any lightweight right now that could add to his legacy, or does it have to be like a GSP figure?
To me, it would have to be a GSP figure. I don't think another win is going to add anything. I mean, had Conor won that last fight and Dana was able to entice them, and Conor looked great in doing it, then maybe we would have saw something. But you heard it from Dana himself. He's throwing his hat in. So what that does that mean? I don't know. Maybe behind closed doors, it doesn't mean nothing. But as far as out in the public, it means that it's pretty much put it to rest.
Yeah, for sure. And I know, obviously, a lot of things can change. And but a few months ago, I remember we discussed the potential fight with GSP, right? Habib's father was very much interested in it. GSP seemed interested. Habib seemed interested. I mean, you got two massive stars in MMA, down basically to fight, and it seemed the only player that wasn't, sort of feeling that fight was the UFC. Do you have any idea as to maybe why they weren't interested in that fight maybe a few months ago? Because it just seems like the hardest thing to get is to get two stars to agree to fight, right? And it just seemed all the pieces were lining up for that potential fight, right?
I mean, it appears on the outside like that's the case, but how do we know? For all we
Right.
know, the UFC has been wanting that fight more than anything. They just haven't been able to put it together. It appears that way, but I would say because I'm not behind the scenes, I don't know what's going on. I would say I don't know, and I would say, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if the UFC was pushing for that fight harder than anything.
Right. Yeah. We don't know definitely what's going on behind the closed doors. And then I wanted to ask you also, A lot of people have mentioned this. I don't know how you feel about it, but if we're talking about legacy, right? Usually we see champions reigning over a division and then moving up a weight class and winning another belt. Would that ever interest Khabib or you as a coach? Is a potential move to welterweight something that Khabib would be interested? Obviously, new challenges there, and a chance to become champion in a different weight class.
He's never ever discussed going up another weight. He's never discussed having any desire. He's always discussed, I'm a lightweight coach and I'll stay a lightweight. So I can only go based on what he's been saying from all the years that I've talked to him. So the welterweight, championship would be out of the question. The only thing that I can think of is if a GSP and him were to ever come, to fruition, then maybe at 165 new title, because I think it's needed, because between 155 and the welterweight division, there's kind of like a pretty big gap.
Yeah, right. It seems there's some fighters that are kind of in the middle, right? Too
Yeah,
small for 170, a bit too big for lightweight.
yeah.
Would you think if that ever be a thing, whether it's a catchweight bout or etc., do you think Habib would potentially maybe actually perform better at 165 pounds than 155?
Uh, I don't know if he'll perform better, but he'll perform well. I mean, I mean, he's perfect for where he's at now. So it'd make the weight cut much easier. So I would tend to think, he will perform well. If will it be better? I don't know, but he'll definitely be able to perform because he has to cut less weight.
Yeah, for sure. And you've been there with Habib for quite some time, and it's been quite a crazy ride. So I want to ask you, if this is truly the end of Habib, what's your favorite moment inside the cage? Maybe your favorite victory that he had, or moment that you had with him in the cage.
Well, when he's talking to Dana instead of listening to me and telling Dana stop sending him bullshit contracts, you know, that to me was funny as hell, because I'm trying to have a conversation with him and he's having a conversation with Dana business. It's like, don't send me no more bullshit contracts. And I'm like, oh my god.
Is this for the Michael Johnson fight? Is this
Yeah,
like in fight? Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, I
yeah. That
remember.
was funny. That for me, that was funny as hell.
Yeah, that was crazy. Is that a moment where you're like, dude, focus on the fight, or
Yeah.
you're like, yeah, he's got this?
I knew he had it, but I was like, focus on the fight. And he was focused on Dana. The fight was already done. In his eyes, it was done. He just wanted to discuss with Dana.
Yeah.
I just, if you think back, you look at it, it's like, how's this guy able to do that? You're that good. You're focusing your attention elsewhere, and you're still destroying your opponent.
Yeah, that was crazy, and he was looking at him too. It wasn't just talking. So yeah, pretty crazy. What about outside of the cage? Any special moment that you guys shared that you hold fondly?
Well, it's just we're just the closeness that we have. It's a true brotherhood, a true love there. It's a bond that's going to be there for life. I'm always in his presence. I feel that all the time. There's a special something in his heart for me, and same for me with him. I definitely do feel that.
Yeah, no doubt you guys are super close. And also, I wanted to ask you about another fighter. I wanted to ask you about Umar Magomedov. I mean, we've been talking for quite some time, and I believe maybe like 2 or 3 years ago, you've been telling him about Umar, and you're like, he's gonna be the next big thing. Just wait till he makes his UFC debut. And obviously, there's been a lot of sort of barriers and things that have happened, right? Opponents falling out, the pandemic that kind of prohibited that. But finally, last month in January, he made his UFC debut, completely dominant, looked very, very well. I know you've been very riding very high on Umar. How nice was it for him to finally get in the octagon and showcase everybody in the UFC that he's got some sick skills?
Yeah, it was really nice to finally see him finally get his opportunity after so many things that happened. And it was nice for him to also do it on the same day as Habib, January 20th. Is when Habib entered, and there's also the choke was the same as Habib's choke. So all those combined, I think, was an incredible experience. And he came in not a Habib prodigy. He came in Umar. He's himself, and he just showed what great talent he has, and diversity, and and different techniques, but still, father's plan is still the best plan for Team Eagle, and he showed that too. But also showed that these guys can strike too.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, he looked great. Are we staring here at the future of bantamweight? What's his ceiling like? I mean, you've been around champions. You know what it takes to be a champion. Is he the next big thing at bantamweight?
I believe he is. I believe he is. 5, 6 fights from now, I've been saying it. They expect him to fight for a title, and I believe we're seeing a new champion. Yes, 100%. He still has improvements to make, but he's going to make them. And yeah, you will be seeing you'll be seeing him with the strap. 5, 6 fights from now.
Okay. Yeah, so that's what I was going to ask you. He's 24 now, if I'm not
Yes.
mistaken. So still obviously very young. You expect like what, maybe 2, 3 years from now,
Yeah, somewhere
and he'll
around
be
there. Two,
champ?
3 years from now. Yeah, 26, 27. He's going to fight for that title, and he's going to win it.
Nice. And how big has Khabib been as an influence to his career? Because obviously, as you mentioned, same finish, got a pretty similar style. I'm sure that championship rub is doing quite well for his career, right?
I mean, it's everything. I mean, they all look up to Habib. Habib's their big brother. He's their big role model. He's everything they want to be like. And he provides for them opportunities, and whether it be on the physical or the mental, he's there for them, and they're well taken care of. And he makes sure that everything's done right for them, and they can't do nothing but be successful with all the knowledge and all the support Habib gives them.
Yeah. And you're on the news a lot, not only obviously with some of your comments and what you say, but also your content. Obviously in YouTube and Instagram, you're always killing it. And recently, I think Khabib, kind of roasting Daniel Cormier, DC, for his shoes while wearing kind of a nicer piece up top,
Yeah.
went viral. So I wanted to ask you, what is a moment, maybe like a funny one that we missed out on that you didn't get to capture, but one of the funniest moments that you saw or witnessed with Habib and DC? Because it seems those two are just made for each other. It's hilarious.
Yeah, they're made for each other. There was one moment I missed a situation where they showed these moments, but this is one was special where all the Dagestan boys jumped up on DC and they all tag teamed on him. It was just so damn funny. I was laughing too hard. I forgot to film it. I wish I would have filmed that moment. It was there's some versions of it out there, but not as funny as this one. This one was hilarious, and I didn't film it. And after I stopped laughing, I went, "Damn it! I missed a golden opportunity. That was an awesome one."
Keep doing amazing work. Your Instagram and your YouTube is great. I'm always checking it out because obviously very, very funny moments and very intimate moments as well with these fighters. I think we're seeing like a different side of them, right? Just not inside of the cage. And I think that's also very important to keep in mind. They're human beings just like everybody else, right? So
Right.
keep doing the great work, Hav, not only on Instagram, but obviously coaching at AKA. Thank you so much for your time, Coach.
All
And
right.
I'm sure we'll be talking soon again.
All right. Thanks for having me on, Daniel.